Hello and welcome to another 3 questions about the Pain Diaries. As always, 3 exactly. Question number 1, who are you?
I'm Hal Kerbes.
Yes,
Want
Hal.
to know
I do. tell
And
me why you're Hal
why
Kerbes.
am I Hal Kerbes? Because nobody else could be. What I am is a longtime friend and writing associate with Deborah Nicholson, who originated the Pain Diaries project some years ago. And I'm working with her on the film project. We're redeveloping a film treatment that we actually started on a couple of years ago, and now we're now taking a slightly different tack with it for this new project. And I'm also functioning in the role of producer slash panic-stricken, how do we do this guy.
Gotcha. Well, a little panic never hurt anybody, right?
Tell my stomach that.
Yeah. So, how did you get wrapped up in the Pain Diaries way in the beginning?
Way in the beginning was when Deborah approached me to work with her because she'd never written a play before, and she thought there was a really great story in some of the stories she had found from working with the people at the Chronic Pain Center. And the more I saw the interviews and we talked to people, and I thought she was absolutely right. Now, I was working on Vancouver Island at the time, so I kind of dropped my ball out there, and Deb, as she does, soldiered ahead and created the original stage play of the Pain Diaries, a love story. And she got funding for it, and she produced it, and it was a really interesting experience. And in staged in conjunction with a conference where a lot of the people had direct experience with the whole subject of chronic pain, either as medical professionals, helping professions, and people who experience chronic pain.
Awesome. So now I'm going to blow your horn a little bit for you. Hal is also the creator of Invaluable Ideas. And we cannot tell you the invaluable ideas because it would give away plot twists and things in both the play and the movie. But without him, it would have never, ever been what it was.
Oh, I'm blushing here.
Yeah. Plus, it was really cool because you got back in town in time to actually do wardrobe for the Pain Diaries. So you
Yes, I
actually
did.
got to work on the final version of the play
I got
with
to
us.
work on the final draft of the play with
And that
us.
was amazing.
Great cast of folks, and those stanky reversible skirts I made for
They
Casey.
were pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
And it was a really interesting experience from a design concept, and I think that's one of the things we're looking at now is how we translate some of the stage elements, but into a very different media, different medium. Because going to film, we can find more subtleties, more nuance. We don't have to do things on a grander scale, on a bigger picture. At the same time, we can do a fuller picture of some of the issues that Izzy in this case deals with, the direct impacts that her pain have on her marriage, her household, her family, her work, and how these impacts happen. Sometimes you don't even notice what's happening. I'm fortunate, I don't have chronic pain, but I've had long chunks of time when arthritis has made my knees extremely unpleasant, and I went through a period of time where I was convinced I was going to spend my life in a wheelchair because I was having such a bad time with it. Last spring doing a show, I injured my shoulder and have a rotator cuff injury, which is now into its 4th great month, and showing signs of improvement finally. But it was excruciating. For 2 months, I didn't get a night's sleep because I couldn't find a position where I could. I had to accommodate everything I did on stage, everything I did in life, because the pain would be instantaneous and, to my way of thinking, mind-numbing. And granted, I have not given birth to a child personally, but it hurts. It hurts still, and it really laid me low for many weeks this summer. So I have a lot of empathy for people who have to deal with this on an ongoing basis because they have a condition that cannot be repaired.
So, would you be actually working on the method for this then? you have to live the pain to write and direct the pain?
That's right. I'm a method writer.
A method writer.
I'm a method writer.
Awesome.
But it is. It's things
Yes.
you don't think about. Because
No.
even in writing, as we've been working on a draft, we live in a keyboard-centric age. We have to do this. And I have arthritis in my hands, so I can't do it as fast as I used to. But with the shoulder injury, I had no idea the impact it had on using a mouse. And that is the one thing that my chiropractor and my doctor told me, is that is what's going to, that particular motion is what irritates the supraspinatus. It's a tiny little thing, but it's all these connected muscles, and that is the most annoying thing. Right at the perfectly wrong angle, the perfectly wrong pressure, the perfectly wrong motion to help it heal. So I've been left-handed mousing and doing all sorts of things to accommodate. And this is what so many people have to do is, when dealing with their chronic pain, they many times just have to accept that this is their reality. So how are they going to manage to live with this reality? What accommodations can you make? Should you make? What do you need to find a way to work through, around, past, to give yourself a life that can be lived, as opposed to a life that, is something medieval to be endured.
Absolutely, and an excellent point. So obviously I don't have to ask you, my standard third question is, do you like the arts? Do you think the arts are valid in getting messages across? I would assume, since you've dedicated your life to that you believe that already.
Yeah.
But let's talk about science, because that's sort of not where your life is at. What do you think about a study being done on an arts project?
I think it's extremely valuable because we live sometimes in an age where specialization has become our holy grail. And specialists are valuable, people who become so knowledgeable about a very specific thing. We need that. But we also need to keep ourselves open to creative and critical thinking, to discovering that statistically, people who take music in school, people who learn a musical instrument, it is like learning another language for starters, but it also encourages non-traditional thinking, makes people better problem solvers, and makes people, it seems to statistically be shown that they are more adept at adapting to change, at creating solutions. And in a case like this, where you can even impact your physical being and your physical surroundings, that sort of thing is critical. Strangely, many doctors have a background in either sports or arts. It's, again, statistically, there are a great many people. In my work at the Faculty of Medicine at the Medical Skills Center, I often come across, I wouldn't say most, but certainly many of the young doctors are in training have certainly extensive backgrounds in music or theater or say elite sports, competitive sports. They're people who are alive and who don't focus on the minutiae all the time. It's what makes them able to absorb all the material they need to absorb in a rigorous, critical period of education. So I think that arts in general enhance our lives, and that people can, and I do too, poo-poo television and how it's ruined our culture and our life, and how the internet and people who spend their lives on Facebook don't actually interact. But we have to remember the other impacts, that people now actually use language, and written language, more than they have in almost a generation. Because we had this whole thing where people didn't write letters anymore, and people didn't, they only communicated with the telephone. And now that our telephones are little computers, and we suddenly are texting more than we're actually talking, we've expanded and advanced to a different level of being, a different level of consciousness, and how we communicate and how we live our lives. And I think there is inordinately more knowledge available to us, and that we don't even realize we have. Things we don't know, we know. Kids who take for granted, how to operate a phone and a computer and everything else, and the microwave, and I think art and the creation, the creative instincts of composing music, writing stories, making films, making television, recording sounds, and ever more with young artists, pushing those boundaries of a play isn't just a play anymore. It has multimedia components and incidents that happen all over the world via iPhone simultaneously, and it's mind-bending to me. I'm old. I can't even think of these things and where we're going next. But it's exciting, and creativity, arts, culture. We live in a much broader world than we sometimes think.
Awesome. Well, and follow along, right? Because people will see where we're going to go with this, and maybe we can swath a new path as well, hey?
Come back and visit. And
Exactly.
keep your eye open for Izzy's story when it hits the big screen.
Yay. Awesome. Thanks for your time, Hal.
Thank you.